We have a quorum. Welcome, everybody, to our Zoom Open Space Committee. The first agenda item we have is to approve the minutes from last month, from November 18th. Has everyone seen the copy that Danny distributed earlier?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Anyone have comments, corrections, additions, deletions?
No.
No.
Well, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes of November the 18th as submitted.
I second.
I second.
All right, being duly moved and seconded, all those in favor signify their approval by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? I think we will approve the minutes. Moving on to the next agenda item. This is Kathy. We have the treasurer's report.
Okay. Our checking is up to $4,125. Those are from calendar sales. Our savings has the same amount, $66,368. The fund checking is the same at $200. And the fund savings is $227,222. So we have $297,915 total. So our fund is up, looks like 10, no. Overall, we're up $10,718. And that is, the calendar sales are $3,555 of that 10,000. And the fund is, we've taken in $7,163. So we've gotten about 45 checks, and I've spent about $33 on stamps so far.
So those checks, Kathy, are from the newsletter, end of the year fundraiser?
That's right, from the newsletter, exactly. We expect more
Say that,
coming.
I picked up some checks today, and one of our former loyal members contributed $2,500.
Wow.
And we got another $1,000 check from one person as well.
That's fantastic. That's great.
And then the realtor from Caldwell Banker that was going to buy just 100 calendars wound up buying 200. So that was $2,000 plus an additional amount to cover the cost of the extra envelopes that we provided for her. So another very nice contribution.
Yeah, but that was just 100 of our calendars, right?
No, it's 200 of our calendars.
Really?
She lives
The
in San
entire transaction benefited San Anselmo, even though Susan Barron of the Fairfax Open Space Committee was the one who negotiated that.
Wow. That's great.
Well, Jonathan, we're kind of spilling over into the next agenda item. We're still on
Right.
the treasurer's report. So, do we have anything else on the treasurer's report?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Hey, when do we do the Measure A funds? When do those numbers come out?
Jonathan?
I don't
No,
remember.
is it, it's more of a fiscal accounting.
Right.
Yeah, fiscal year, right?
Yeah. And it's a big unknown because of COVID.
I'm sure it'll be less this year. Sales tax revenue will go down, and it won't be as quite a sizable amount.
Okay, just asking. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is the update on the calendar sales, and it sounds like you have news on that, Jonathan.
Yeah, correct. So we have this wonderful purchase by this real estate office. The purchase of the 200 calendars, which they're sending out as gifts, which, you know, it's a multiple benefit. It's great for them. You know, they're going to send calendars anyway, but helps us financially. But then it puts, you know, the calendar, which has a lot of information about the committee and our work and all that in many people's homes. And so there's visibility too. So also various committee members have been selling calendars, and I don't have an exact number on the total number of calendars sold, but as Kathy said, it's about what, $3,500 in calendar sales so far. So we've way surpassed our costs and are profiting nicely. There's still quite a few more. I have 30 in my position right now, and I think a number of committee members still have some with them.
I have
So, you know, so we have a little time left. We can try to maximize it. There's an opportunity this Saturday to join in. They're having a feature to try and bring people into downtown San Anselmo, and we could set up a table and participate in that on Saturday if the weather's favorable. So that's one option.
Yeah, Nancy, go ahead. How was your table sales?
the table sales. I think you mean at United.
Yeah,
I think we sold 100, and we got some contributions, $18, and then Fairfax. I was there with the Fairfax Open Space and got $80 from that. The weather is looking good for Saturday, so I would be willing to go out there. And Susan said that she might want to put out some of the larger art pieces, a few of them out there. The weather's nice.
I
And
could join you, Nancy, Saturday.
Pardon?
I could join you on Saturday if you'd like.
And Mindy, she was also wanting to contact you because she's going to be doing something with some of the art still set up in the pavilion, top floor of the pavilion. And I said you were our tech person who relate to the modern world. So I told her that we would be meeting today. So that would be great. And Henry is busy, but I emailed him that he had emailed me to tell me he wasn't going to be here, that we might do that on Saturday. But I think the weather looks good. We can check closer to the time. And yeah.
Just to confirm, Susan called me just before our meeting to reiterate that if we do go ahead with tabling at Town Hall on Saturday, she would like to assist by displaying some of the wonderful wild Marin artworks. Kind of help spice it up.
And also just to say that those are also opportunities on the weekend. I was in the front part in Fairfax, and I got some email for Fairfax Open Space and a couple emails for us. So I'm encountering people who are new into town. They have kids, they're interested. So it's a way of generating some interest as well, even if they don't buy calendars.
Renee?
Yeah, so I participated 2 weekends ago with Susan in Fairfax, and I took some of the photographs that I submitted and I printed them up. Actually, you have 10 different photographs as cards. There are, blank cards on the inside, and they turned out really well. And so I'm going to donate them to all the ones that I've printed up that I've left for the fundraiser. So if Nancy, if you want to take those, they actually generated, they sold more than anything when they were available, and we're selling them for like $3 a piece. And gosh, I sold like like 50 of them. So and I've got, half of them are still left in baskets and are all bundled up. So I just need to figure out where to, get them to you guys on Saturday. Maybe I'll meet you there. So where's this and what time?
We haven't decided on the time yet, but you could just drop them off at my house anytime. And
Okay. Yeah, I know you.
because I'll probably need, well, Mindy's stronger than I am, I'm sure, but we could manage a table together. Mindy, where do you live?
I'm on Morningside, like
Uh-huh.
San Antonio Ave and Morningside.
I live on Grove Lane, so it's just a couple blocks from town. And I have one table. And if it's not going to rain, we don't need the canopy thing.
All right. Hey, Nancy, if you get emails, forward them to me and I'll put them in our email account, our MailChimp account.
Okay, they're on a sheet of paper, so I'll get those.
Oh, I
to
know.
you.
Can you get it to me?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
And any extra
Okay, so
and any extra
how-
newsletters, we can hand those out as something that we do as well. Any that have come back to us that
Yeah. I have probably, I would say, 30 or 40 new ones, that haven't been mailed. We've gotten about 120 or 130 back, but they're in terrible shape. You could not hand, and we need the address label on there so that we can cancel them off of our mailing list. But they're really messed up from the post service.
Anyway, so it was nice to hand out to people as well, just to say, you're interested in what I do. You are not interested in a calendar today, but here's what we do.
I'll get you some of the ones.
calendars do we have left?
I have about 30.
30.
I have
How many do you
11.
have, Nancy?
I have 10.
11.
So 50 so far, give or take.
Okay.
Started out with 375, and then 200 went to the realtor, so that's 175, and then all the intervening sales. So yeah, that's about the end of it.
Sounds good. We made money on it. Anything else we need to discuss on the calendar sales? It sounds like we have another push on Saturday, and then we're kind of out of it, right?
Yeah, I think past
Did I tell you about Thursday too at Red Hills? So Thursday night, Red Hills having a big,
that's right.
Red Hills pushing their night for Thursday. So is that tomorrow? Yeah, tomorrow night. Their shops are staying open till 8, and they're encouraging people to go to the stores there. So if you wanted to do something there, I would try to hang out near one of the stores. I know the lady at Bella, which is a couple doors down from Safeway. She's really encouraging people to go, and so I would, if you go over there, you might want to hang out near her store.
Well, there's also Jilly's, the wine bar that's trying to.
Yeah, the wine bar too. They're all, so that's their night, and then downtown is going to try to stay open till 8 on Saturday.
Well, I
Just
think,
in case you want to go 2 nights.
well, I might, depending on the weather.
And are we fine to like solicit out or outside of any of those stores? Is that okay to do?
Oh, I bet we can ask. I would bet the stores don't mind at all, especially if we're encouraging people. We can send something to encourage people to go there. And I have the contacts for those, so I could find out. I mean, and Red Hill, I have the contact for the shopping center too.
Okay.
So if you want to do it, maybe you could just email me and I'll
Okay,
make sure it's okay.
I'll look at the weather.
Good call. Yeah.
What time do
Well,
you know?
it's starting to rain now.
No, I think it's supposed to be nice later in the day tomorrow. But it all depends on the weather.
Okay. Anything else? Moving on. Okay, next agenda item is the property for sale at 272 Los Angeles Boulevard. Who's carrying this one, Jonathan?
Well, I'll just say a few words, and then Elise, I believe, has prepared some information about the property for us. But this stems from an email we received from a resident, I believe, in Los Angeles, that contacted the Open Space Committee to apprise us the property was on the market. It had previously been on the market last year or a couple of years ago. And it is, in fact, one of the 36 properties that are in the appendix in the general plan of San Anselmo that were called out for possible acquisition for open space. I will just say that I did look on the listing website, and the price that's being asked at present for it's about 5.3 acres is $999,900, just under $1 million. So maybe, Elise, did you have something you wanted to tell us about this?
Yeah, let me see if I can share my screen. So unfortunately, I was thinking it was the two sites that were at the end that were in the town of San Anselmo until I was looking up information and then realized, oh, this is actually in the county of Marin. So I don't have a lot of information from the county of Marin because I didn't know it was their site. But I do have, I looked at the real estate ad and I can share my screen to show you everyone where it's at so you could see it. Let me share my screen. I'll show you first what it looks like on Marin map so you can get an idea of where it's at. So this I've highlighted in yellow here, if you can see that. So this is Los Angeles. If I zoom out a little bit, maybe you get a better perspective. This is Memorial Park. So it's a large site. You know, it's about the size of Memorial Park, the field. But you go down Los Angeles Avenue, and then I'm going to take you to a different screen. Google Earth. Oop. Let me try this again. Okay, so can't tell what you guys are seeing. Are you looking at straight at the site?
Yeah,
Are
we
you
can see
looking
it.
at the same thing you're, okay. So are you looking at Google Earth? Is that, you see me moving it around?
Yeah,
or-
Google Earth.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. So this is it right here. So it's the property line is about where this tree is going up to the trail. And then and it looks like it goes to about here on this other side. So it's a really large site. On Marin map, this whole upper area is an area of slope instability. And then the other challenging thing about developing the site is just that you'd have to get the fire, if you're building higher on the hill, you have to have a driveway of a certain width and a certain slope to get fire department access and a turnaround. So I think it would be really challenging to build higher on the hill because of that, between the slope and the grading and the impacts of that. Although, you know, someone could certainly, they have lots of room to wind up and down the hill. I don't know if the county approves such things. I would think it's most likely that any development would be approved closer to the street, which is what, you know, happened on the other Draper lots that are over here. You know, they were approved, you know, further down on the hillside. So from what they the real estate advertisement says you could build one home or you could subdivide and build 2 homes and 2 second units. So I think if there was more development than that, they would probably be advertising that. So what I'm guessing is that one unit is what they're really marketing it for, but 2 might be possible to subdivide. But just from so from it's going to be a difficult site to develop if someone wants to develop higher than Los Angeles Avenue. And I could kind of swing back around so you could see like which parts of the site are sort of visible, or obviously it's the ridge, but it has a big chunk of the ridge. And then these sites here are 2 other vacant lots, which is what I thought was for sale. But there's one big vacant lot here and then another skinnier one right here. And then the rest of them, let's see. Then the rest of them are the Draper lots for the rest of the the lots, I guess you'd say north of there are Draper lots.
Right. These two are owned by Baumsteiger, I think.
The two close, the ones, the two, there's two owned by, right, and then there's, this one, particular one is owned by the Mervitel. He owns the Shibui Garden site that's for sale too. I'll stop screen sharing. Where'd my, if I can find where I can stop screen sharing, here it is. So I guess the unfortunate side is there's not a lot of trees or things that need to be removed if one wanted to grade a driveway to a development up on top. And I'm not sure what the county's rules are about development up higher on the site, but I would think, because if it was in San Anselmo, I could be pretty confident about saying we'd like the sites to be developed lower down because it would reduce the environmental impacts. But it's still maybe very challenging to get a driveway with a low enough slope to build on the upper parts of the site.
Yeah, it's
I don't
might
think
be
I
why
want to live
the
in a
price is so
house
low.
on the lower part either.
yeah, it's very steep
You
down
know,
there. At the bottom.
unstable hillside. I don't think I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah, because then you're cutting into the,
I might. This is
That's
Jonathan.
Scott.
Can I?
yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, go ahead, Jonathan.
So there's an important piece of history on this property that affects development potential and also affects issues around ownership and accepting ownership of it. And that's that I can't remember which year it was, but quite some time ago, there was a landslide on the lower slopes, in fact, just above Los Angeles. And I remember the debris from that landslide spread out into the road and at least partially blocked Los Angeles Boulevard. So what you'll see now, right next to the sidewalk, is some big boulder riprap just above the sidewalk along Los Angeles, and that is the repair that was done to hold back the hill. So there's definitely some geologic liability there and instability that would have to be addressed and could affect, potential liability and responsibility for a future owner for public open space also. So that's a considerable factor in this.
Yeah, if the county,
The first thing, go ahead.
if the county enforces their ridge and upland greenbelt, like they don't always, that prevents building within 300 feet horizontally or 100 feet vertically from the top of the ridge, which would probably include about the upper half of the property.
But the property butts up against our trail, right?
Right.
It's more
Well,
like,
that's up against the former seminary, or not seminary, the Sunny Hills property, where the trail is at the top.
Right.
They're contiguous.
Nancy, you had your hand up?
I was gonna say, it's more likely to stay stable without building. I mean, so the liability as open space is much less than if it's built on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so this leads to the discussion of if we were to say embark on a proposed acquisition for open space, the first question is ultimately who would accept the property and who would own it and be responsible over time. And if it was going to be the town of San Anselmo, Sean has already expressed a lot of reservation about liability, for instance, with the spring lot, and a reluctance to put the town in the position of any sort of vulnerability for landslide or land movement. So that we'd have to explore. I think really fundamentally that'd be one of the first things that you'd have to look into is, who would accept the property.
Yeah, Jonathan, could the town even accept it without annexing that property? It's in the county, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Essentially, we just own a piece of property that's in the county until a jurisdiction boundary was changed. Scott, do you have any knowledge of this site?
No, I don't. But I did notice what Jonathan, called out about all the repairs done at the bottom of the hill there. And I have a question for you, Elise. If, say, the town or open space purchased this and we wanted to build a connector trail that zigzagged up that hill, since it's not in the town, then the county would have to review all that. And I think to Nancy's point that if it remains unbuilt, then it may have lower, chances of a landslide. But if we build a zigzag trail up the top, then that may increase the possibility of land movement there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, it would definitely be, anything we were doing would be reviewed by the county if reviews required. A public trail, I don't know if that's a question I could ask them though.
Well, I don't think we need a public trail there, frankly. I mean, there's plenty of access points up to the ridge.
And the other sites where there's already that road, so the other two sites that are on our side of the boundary line, they're the ones that have the better trail location. The one that already has sort of the grading.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Baumsteiger was very opposed to anybody using his dirt road. We had to block it off and sign it and everything. So I don't know about a trail. I hadn't even thought about a trail on it, but I would sure love to see it saved. If it were daytime, you could see it out my window here behind me. So it's right out of my view, and I love that hill. So I would love to see it saved. I don't know that we certainly are not going to pay $1 million for it. But a conservation easement or something like that, if we could convince the owner that he's never going to be able to develop that upper half, and maybe we could pay him some reasonable amount for a conservation easement, then that seems like an option to me.
I like the idea, Brian. Who's going to talk to the realtor / owner on this?
And the realtor is the son of the property owner.
Okay.
I actually, I think when it was first on the market, like it was, I think in 2017 or 18, I called up and spoke with him and let him know of our interest. Nothing really came of it at that time. And it was off the market for several years, and now they put it on with an increased price. So, yeah, I think a couple of things for us to think about. First one is, the reality of the acceptance of the property, and I think it might not hurt to put this to Sean and get his take on it. And I mean, if it's just out of the realm of possibility, from his point of view, if he could not recommend it to the town council, then that hampers our moving forward. So maybe that's a good place to start, would just be to, talk with Sean about the whole concept.
Well, but Jonathan, there's a couple of different things we're talking about. One is the outright purchase, which I think you're talking about and taking ownership. But Brian was just suggesting maybe talking to the owner and seeing if they're amenable to some type of a conservation easement for the portion of the hill that literally can't be developed. Two different things.
Right. Well, that does have the advantage that they remain, the fee title owner and are holding the liability. So the question is there some value in it to them, which might be that, they would be able to lower their tax assessment or possibly get an IRS dispensation for some offset in the value. Thing is, the only way that it would really benefit them from a tax perspective is if they gave up the development rights. That would only be the thing that would devalue the property enough for them to really benefit. So I don't know if they'd be willing to do that or not.
Hey, Jonathan, I have
And
a-
then there's the question of, say they do want to sell the property, and so would they sell it with a conservation easement already attached to the property? That would seem to maybe make it less appealing to a new buyer.
Yeah.
Well, and then here's another angle. If we were able to negotiate a discounted purchase price, if there was an appraisal done and say they were willing to accept less than fair appraised value, then that could potentially benefit them in a tax setting. As a charitable contribution, the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Really depends on what their needs are and how desperate they are to get rid of it.
Renee?
Yeah, so, I have a policy question about these parcels because, this is on our list of parcels that we want to protect. And, isn't a question to Sean kind of moot? I mean, the town a long time ago decided that we wanted to protect all these parcels. And so are we changing our policy and not, not trying to acquire these because there may be some objection by our public works director?
Well, I think the parcel list is always a wish list. It's not necessarily a mandate, obviously. So, Sean.
And I would agree.
probably does
Because
have that.
go ahead.
Danny,
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
done.
Yeah, go ahead, Danny.
That's fine. I want to let Kathy finish. I'm sorry, Kathy interrupted you.
No, that's okay. I'm done.
Okay. I mean, I would agree with Kathy generally in that I think it is more of a, list of goals or targeted properties, and we certainly would like to, but you always have to balance it out with one, the price, two, any potential, negative ramifications of it, and the landslide or other risks like that, I think are reasonable for the town to consider. And so I think, we can certainly, I think it's worth inquiring with Sean to understand more about that and whether it's something to explore. But if it is something that the town's not willing to accept liability for, and it's more serious, I don't think the town should. I mean, I don't think we should either. And it's not an unlimited amount. So I know Renee's not saying it's unlimited and we should buy everything. I fully understand that. It's just a matter of, I don't think we're necessarily going against the town or our charter, I should say.
Okay, well,
So
I'll have to get some more information.
this is Jonathan. If I could just add one thing here on this. All these geotechnical issues can be remedied in one or mitigated in one way or another. It's just a matter of money. So several projects that I've been working on with most have involved extra fundraising to mitigate various issues with property. So that might be a component of a purchase would be that we would have to raise extra money, say, potentially maybe to put a retaining wall at the base of the hill, an extra 100,000 or something. That's not out of the realm of possibility to do that. Make it a part of the project.
But Jonathan, I think the next step that we have to do as a committee is this is on the market, it's on our list. We should actually delegate somebody or designate somebody to reach out to the owner and the realtor and talk to them and tell them, what our position is and what, just open up a line of communication.
I agree with that.
And then simultaneously, maybe somebody can talk to Sean and see, what the town public director's position would be if it, came to a purchase. Nancy, go ahead.
Shouldn't most also be involved in this? Because if the owner realizes that it's going to be a problem from, San Anselmo perspective, open space perspective, that may drive the price down. I mean, shouldn't they be involved if it is their land in those discussions?
Wait a minute. Now, MOST is the acronym for the Marin Open Space Trust.
Right, but
And
it's
so
their land, right?
no. This is a private parcel, belongs to an individual.
But it's not in town limits, right?
Yeah, it's in the county, unincorporated Marin.
I'm just saying that to have more people involved in the discussion might change the price in terms of what the owner wants to get for it.
Well, yeah, I think the way to find some of these answers is to open, like Stan was saying, just have a very general dialogue and just ask, some questions, do some information gathering with the agent, and then we'll have a better idea of where they stand and sort of what opportunities there'll be. We obviously can't commit anything at this point. It would just be information gathering and just sort of making contact.
I-
Who do you think should do that?
Since it's in
Lee?
county property, it seems like it's not really in our hands, right?
Well, the purchase is still purchasable. I was going to offer to talk to the county now that I know it's not in our site, and I'm sorry about not knowing that. And what I'd like to ask is just what they think the potential is. Is it something that they're envisioning would be developed closer to the street? But I was wondering, Brian, if it was developed close to the street, do you see that as a loss to open space? Or do you think if the homes were developed close to the street and the remainder of the lot was just privately owned open space or privately owned land, do you think that would protect what the interest is in open space?
Mostly, yeah. I think, it would be the view shed would be preserved, and, a lot of open space that would remain as a conservation easement. That would seem like a win. Very much like the Draper settlement that was agreed to and then later voided. But, let it build at the bottom and protect the top. That would be great.
Elise, this is Kathy. Do you see enough room on the street level for two separate houses? How
Yeah.
wide is the parcel?
Let me look at the dimensions.
Yeah, there's plenty of room.
It's over 5 acres, so.
It's it's like 200. It has about 200, more than 200 feet of street frontage. So that's most of our lot, like a small lot would be 40 to 50, but.
Oh,
that could-
wow. Okay.
You sure would have to cut into that bottom of the hill to build there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the likelihood of that being developable is, it's possible, but you'd have to, spend a lot on engineering to begin with, and then there would be a massive amount of, if it's unstable, you'd have to spend a huge amount on retaining walls. It just seems cost prohibitive. But everything's possible, like Jonathan says, Just look at his house or Brian's house.
Yep.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to have somebody contact the owner, and Elise is going to talk to the county, and we need to have somebody talk to Sean. Yes, no?
Well, Dan, how do you feel about being the one to talk to the realtor?
I can do it.
Okay. I can talk to Sean.
Okay. And Elise is going to ask the county how they feel about if it gets bought and developed, how that would play out.
Yeah, if they have any restrictions on developing on the upper part, or if they've seen any, in their conversations, maybe they know that it would be very difficult to put a driveway to improve upper portions. And just find out how many houses.
Yeah. Yeah, if we could get a report from them saying, how difficult it would be, then maybe the seller would be much more interested in lowering the price or doing a conservation easement or more willing to talk.
Okay. I think we got our walking papers. Anything else we need to discuss on this agenda item? Seeing none. Moving on. Next agenda item is, it sounds like Jonathan, we're going to spend money for most on the Asia Alliance property and the conservation easement for the spring lot.
Stan, could I interrupt just real quickly? Sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Danny.
Sorry, I apologize for being late. I had a call that went longer than expected, but I just wanted to see, is someone else taking notes as secretary, I assume, or?
Oh,
SLPC.
I was, but then I assumed you were, but that's okay. I can,
No, I can jump in. I just didn't, I wasn't doing it up until, I just wanted to see.
yeah, I can give you what I have from before.
Okay, so, all right, that's fine. I'll take it from here.
Thanks, Danny. Okay, Jonathan, you have the, where we're spending the money on appraisals?
Okay, so just to apprise the committee, Marin Open Space Trust has been engaged in some discussions, as I mentioned before, with the agent for Asia Alliance, the owner of Bald Hill. And in the process of the ongoing negotiations, most commissioned an appraisal. And in fact, that was just received in the last few days. And concurrent with that, there's a very major effort mounting to complete a conservation easement on the spring lot on Bald Hill, which is contiguous with the Bald Hill property, 5-acre former seminary spring lot, with the current owner, Seminary Holdings. And to that end, most has expended funds on an attorney to draft the actual document, the conservation easement document. And we've hired a consultant to do what's called a baseline study, which is necessary for the ongoing monitoring, the yearly annual monitoring that goes with the conservation easement. And then there'll be additional costs involved with escrow and the instructions for escrow and that whole process of getting it recorded. So Bill Long, who's the chairman of MOST, asked me to approach the committee, the San Anselmo Open Space Committee, about sharing some of these costs. Going back to 2009, the MOST and the Open Space Committee collaborated on an appraisal of a conservation easement for the spring lot when the seminary owned it, and we split the cost on that. So we do have some sort of a previous precedent for having done this. So I don't have the full budget for the work because it hasn't been completed yet on the conservation easement, but all told, it's likely that one half the cost that we could assume would be in the range of up to probably about $4,000, possibly a little bit less, depending. But so, not really tonight. This discussion isn't to approve an exact amount, but just in concept that I could give back to the board of most that were willing to help bear some of the burden for these costs.
Hey,
As they are, Yes?
Jonathan, just to be clear, we're talking a 50-50 split on the costs?
Yes.
Okay.
Which is 4,000 or 8,000?
Total of approximately 8, so our share could be up to 4,000. That's an approximate. It might be less. But I would say in the range of 3,000 to 4,000 for our half.
Renee?
Yeah, I'm generally supportive of the this proposal, and I'm wondering whether we can use any of our Measure A money to support this. Is that allowed?
We could make a recommendation to the town council to that effect. Yes.
Also, it just occurred to me, we have to report back to the Huntington Foundation how we use their $1,000 donation. And it'd be nice to have something really substantial to include in that report. So we could use some of that money, the $1,000, towards this.
Very good point, Kathy.
Yeah. This seems like this might qualify for Measure A, right? I mean, the Measure A has to be project oriented. I can't remember what the terminology was, but it, you know, you can't just throw it in the kitty. It's got to be towards something. And this seems like this might be a good option for it.
Yeah, I think I'm also in favor of this, because if we're spending $4,000 and we get a conservation easement on 5 acres on Bald Hill, it's just out, that's good money spent.
Agreed.
And just so you know, the push is on right now to complete that transaction by the end of this month. The owners are very desirous to take advantage of the tax relief for this year, the current year. So there's a really big push on right now to get it done.
Danny?
And I actually have been working on the draft of the baseline report. I worked with a consultant on that, so it's looks like it's going to happen.
That's
Danny,
great
go
news.
ahead.
Yeah, just a clarification. So is the $8,000 just for the spring lot, or is that a combination of both? And if it's for the Asia or the other Asia Alliance property, I just want to understand more about that. I missed some of that maybe in my taking notes. So I had 2 questions.
Okay, so it's a combination of both. So it'd be the cost, half the cost of the appraisal that most commissioned for the Asia Alliance property.
Okay.
And then half the cost for the attorney's fees and the baseline report for the conservation easement.
Okay.
That's good.
And, you know, before we approved it, of course, I would come back with, the budget and what we're spending it on and give you all that information. But for right now, Bill Long really wanted me to just be able to give him a sense that we were okay with the concept of sharing the cost.
Can we go ahead?
This is Kathy. Would you get our approval by the end of the year?
No, because we won't actually have a final bill until after that.
Okay. Well, I
Can
have
we go ahead
approved.
and up to a limit?
All right, so Jonathan, you don't need a vote from the committee tonight.
No.
Or do you?
I don't. Just if there's a consensus, there's any objection, I understand, but if everybody seems in general to be comfortable with that, I'll just let Bill know. And then, when the final invoices have come in and we know the exact amount, then I'll come back to the committee, with a number and a breakdown so everybody knows what it's going to.
Well, I think, oh, sorry, because we're actually talking about sort of agreeing to money, why don't we just go ahead and pass a motion and decide on the amount next time?
Danny?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Renee. I think we should pass something, because I wouldn't want them to come back and, we're kind of committing to something. We're estimating approximately 4,000 of our share. So I think we should do that versus Jonathan. I know you're trying to get an expression of our willingness, and we generally are there, but I think it'd still be a good idea to pass a motion, and maybe the way to do it is to have the amount no greater than a certain amount, and to be approved by us at the final stage. And I don't know if that amount is 4,500 or 5,000 or 4,000, but nevertheless, something like that. We're willing to commit up to 4,000. How's that, Jonathan? And then, That
sounds good. Might want to budget to 5,000, but and know that it will most likely be less. But
I would go 4,000 or 5,000.
great.
Well, I would like to, suggest that we also try to include in there that we try to get the money out of the Measure A funds if possible.
Okay.
Well, but I think Kathy was saying we need to spend one of our $1,000 from the foundation donation.
Yeah, well, take
It would-
1,000 from
Huntington.
that and 4,000 from Measure A. If
Sounds good.
that would,
I agree.
So does somebody want to make this motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the expenditure of funds for the two matters, the AG Alliance evaluation and the conservation easement study, up to a maximum of $5,000 for our share, of which 1,000 would be for, I guess, from this other fund. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name.
The Huntington Foundation donation.
And
Right.
and I think obviously the intent is also to try to get Measure A funds, but that's not a requirement of this. I mean, we're willing to spend the money if we can't use that.
Correct.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? That's clear enough, everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any opposed? No? Okay, the ayes have it.
Good.
Sounds good. Moving on. That was our last agenda item. We're on open time now.
Well, I have something. If I can step in here, this is Jonathan.
Yep.
Can I go ahead? So,
Go ahead.
yeah, I had a occasion to speak with Leonard Charles this last week. He had tried to join our last meeting and wasn't able to be recognized. That then led me to look back at the roster and see the terms that had expired, and we come to realize that Leonard's term had expired in 2018. And Leonard, in our discussion, said that he felt like at this point he would relinquish his place on our committee, and I think he's joined. Maybe he's on the call right now or on the meeting right now. But I wanted to take the chance to thank him for had served our committee for I think a good probably 30 years, and it's been a extremely faithful and skilled member for all that time. And so I just wanted to recognize Leonard for his contribution.
Is Leonard there anywhere?
Elise, do
No.
we have
No, he's,
any public callers?
no, there's no one else there unless he's watching from somewhere else. But he was in the audience last time, but because he's not officially on the committee, he wasn't a panelist.
No, we should do something, Jonathan. I think 30 years of service deserves more than just a recognition during open time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Definitely.
We could draft a resolution of some sort and present it to him on behalf of the committee.
Yeah, or we could have the town council actually recognize them. Ask the council to recognize 30 years of volunteer spirit to the community.
Yeah, I can talk to the town clerk and town manager about that, and it would be great if they think that's appropriate, which I'm guessing they would, if someone could help draft it. if there's things that you remember from the last 30 years about him.
We can certainly do that. Especially Kathy and I, who've been around all that time.
All right. We're still on open time. Anything else out there? Yes, Scott?
Yeah, I wanted to let everyone know that unfortunately we're going to need to remove a couple of redwood trees at the entrance of Sorich Park. I don't know if you've noticed them. They're right as you pass the entrance to the courtyard gate. And it was pointed out to me yesterday, and so I was taking a look at them. We've had an arborist look at them. They have been infested by bark beetles, and apparently that's easily transmissible from one tree to another. So we wanted to take those out before the beetles spread to other trees there. But they're all brown and mostly dead and aren't looking too good. But they're right adjacent to the road there.
Is it,
Oh, wow.
are they right behind the sign?
Yeah, they're, I think, like the second little group of trees as you're driving in on the left-hand side before the drinking
Yeah.
fountain.
Okay.
It's too bad.
That is too bad. I have a new person, dumb question. Does money come from the funds that we talked about earlier, like to have those trees removed? That's what it comes from, one of those, I assume.
Well, I'm not sure what the policy is. I've been, when I do tree work around town, we have a tree budget that we usually go over. But I don't know if in the past, if open space funds have been used for maintenance of open space in that way, or if it's, mostly reserved for, larger projects or purchases or things like that.
To my knowledge, it has not been used that way.
No.
So the money would come from just the city to remove those trees? Okay.
Yeah,
Works.
Public Works Department.
All right. Okay. I'm just curious.
Hey, Scott, when do you have a schedule for when you guys are gonna take those out?
We don't have a schedule yet, but from what the arborist has been saying, the sooner the better. So it may happen, in the next week or so.
Okay, I'll try to get out there and look at them.
Yeah.
Can you use the wood?
No.
How big are they?
I drove by them today. I think they might be 12 to 18 inches, maybe diameter.
Uh-huh. They were all hand planted, right there.
They were planted and grown by John Walters, as far as I remember.
That's correct. He started them from seeds.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if they're infected with the bark beetle, you don't want to be spreading that around,
No. Are they
I've
going to be?
never heard
No,
of
I
it.
think it's good. The sooner the better. We don't want to lose any more of them. That's really bad. I didn't even know that redwoods got bark beetles.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I know pine trees do, but not redwoods.
yeah, there's such a thing as a redwood bark beetle. I just looked it up on the internet. I'll be damned.
All right. So our next meeting,
There's one more thing, Stan, for open time.
yeah, go ahead.
And that is that Brian and Renee and I made a third attempt to reinstall the no bike signs in Fode Park, which have now subsequently and almost immediately after they were installed were vandalized again.
Jeez.
So we're going to make yet another attempt. I
Yeah.
got some.
We're
We're
gonna
gonna try to put-
try to catch whoever's doing it too. And I've got a request in to Sean, but I don't have approval yet to mount a trail camera up there by the the sign on the south summit. And I have the trail camera already, but I can't use it until he gives me the okay. I don't know if Scott, if you see him, you could remind him. I think it should be okay. I think he was just checking to make sure that that's not a problem. But anyway, I tested it out and it works. And I don't want to install the signs up there again, Jonathan, until we can mount a camera, because I expect that within 24 hours we'll have somebody on the camera trying to vandalize it again. Maybe we'll catch them.
And Brian, you said somebody was vandalizing the interpretive signs on the Red Hill Trail again?
Yeah, they looked like somebody was just throwing rocks at them. So they're kind of dinged up. They're still legible. I don't think we need to replace them yet, but they're getting beat up. And the one up on the right above the Attell property that we've just been talking about is just about to come off the post. Someone has been trying to pull it off the post. I did send something to Sean about that a few weeks ago, and he said he forwarded the message to AJ, I think, but I haven't actually been up there this week to see if anything's happened. Do you know, Scott?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, so I can check with AJ, but I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, it just needs new screws.
Okay.
All right. Anything else we need to discuss on open time? Because I'm looking at 2021.
Actually, Stan, I just had a quick question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Renee and Jonathan, I mean, look, I think it's important to try to have signs, but I kind of question whether, your continued efforts are going to be of fruit or fruitless again. And the other question, if you put up a camera, what prevents them from just going and knocking the camera off? I mean, they can come up from behind the camera and just knock that off, unless I guess it's hidden some way, but it seems like, they're probably smart enough to figure that out.
Well, this camera, it transmits the images over the cellular network. So if they try to mess with the camera, they're going to get their picture taken.
It doesn't help that everybody's wearing masks right now.
Yeah, can't they just come up behind the camera?
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be mounted up high, so they can't really do that.
Okay, that's fine. Look, let's give it a shot. I just trying to.
I thought it'd be worth it. I don't know whether it's going to work or not, but it's just that. I originally I was upset about the mountain bikers using these trails, but that pales in comparison to what this is doing. Happening. It's you can spend a year in jail for vandalizing public property.
Yeah, but no one's going to be spending a year in jail for doing that. I mean, I appreciate that. And the thing is, what we're trying to deter them from mountain biking, right? Is that the focus of the signs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you think it's really, do you think there's any value? Do you think it's really helping?
Actually,
obviously not with those people, clearly not with those people, but how about others? Let's put it that way.
I came across a biker on the trail, and I think that this biker came down at the saddle because I followed the tracks up, and I actually asked him, "Didn't you see the sign up there?" And he said, "No, I didn't see a sign." And so that to me means that people are paying attention to the sign. I think some people that will follow the rules.
For what it's worth, I did see a guy 2 days ago, I think, when I was there, and he had his bike and he rode up and then saw the sign and turned around. So there are some people, I guess, that maybe I'll help.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I watched him do that.
All right, that's all I had. Thanks. I'm not trying to. I'm saying that we don't want to try to deter mountain bikers where they shouldn't be. It's just more trying to assess the effectiveness and how much you want to put into it for your own sanity as well. That's all. So
yeah, it's very frustrating. I keep thinking, is this worth it? But I also see like families walking along the trail, with little kids in front and like that, and then I see a mountain bike come blasting past really fast, and there's blind turns on the trail. I just think somebody could really get hurt. And I'm up there walking every day with my dog, you know, and if one of these bikers came by, I think it could kill somebody. So I think I'm putting the signs up.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, Captain Ahab.
Aye, matey.
Hey, I'm looking at 2021, January 20th for our next gathering.
Oh my God,
That's inauguration day.
inauguration day.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So I want to move that we move it up to now and just start 2021 right now.
Tell me how.
Seconded.
All right.
Wish that would make a difference.
Thanks,
Happy holidays,
everybody.
everybody.
All right, good night.
Happy holidays.
Have a good holiday. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.